Welcome, everyone, to Wine, Women, and Writing. I'm Pamela Fagan Hutchins, and this is the show where I talk with other writers about their complex, authentic female characters and the real life experiences that enrich them and make them worth reading. I am excited today because not only do I have our guest, who I'll introduce in a moment, Stephanie Queen, to talk about her Beachcomber investigation series and Beachcomber Gone, but I also have a new release, dun, 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 Livewire. So be sure and go out and grab your copy of Livewire. And while you're out on the internet, drop by on my site where I have two giveaways going on. One is for a reader appreciation retreat in Wyoming in June. Kind of pick 6 people to come. And the other is for a Johnny Was scarf. So it's the protagonist of this series and dressing like Maggie, kind of wild and free. So that's all the announcements I've got. Let's get on to the good stuff. Stephanie Queen, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Pamela. I'm super thrilled to be here.
Well, you and I have known each other online for about a year, I guess. You want to tell people about what we did together?
We were in a fabulous USA Today best-selling box set, Love Under Fire, romantic suspense, thriller kind of books, and we all pitched in, and it was a year-long experience. You're right, it was quite a marathon, but well worth it with a tremendous group of authors such as yourself, and I enjoyed every minute.
It was so much fun, and getting to know the other authors was one of the best parts for me.
Absolutely.
But what's not to love about having a USA Today bestseller? And when I met all of you guys, it was also a treat to become familiar with the things that you wrote. And you write a lot of books, but you also write this Beachcomber investigation series. And before we talk about that, I want to be sure that for folks that have to pop off here in a second, they know about the special you have going on right now on the series. If you'll tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a great introduction. It's the prequel to the series called The Beachcombers, and then the first 4 books in the series plus 2 bonus novellas in a whole box set, and it's on sale now for $2.99. Normally it's $6.99, and I have that going on for 1 month. It's until like the middle of April. It'll be on sale.
Is it available everywhere or just on a
particular?
Yes,
it's wide. It's available at all of the e-stores.
Awesome. Well, so that brings us really to the book that I read in getting ready for the interview. And one of them, I assume that would be in the box set, and that's Beachcomber Gone.
Beachcomber Gone. I think that is book number 9. So that's not in the box that goes up to book 4.
Okay. So that'll give people something to build their way up to through the series. So what got you writing the series? What started Beachcomber Investigations?
Well, funnily enough, it was a box set that I was invited to be in, and it was about, beachcomber or beach romances. The woman was getting together a group of people and said, "Oh, beach romances." I'm like, okay, but I have this penchant for including danger and suspense elements, and so I said, well, I want to make mine have more bite to it, more edge to it than just a beach romance. So I made it kind of like a romantic thriller, and I wrote The Beachcombers. What happened though is the set was dissolved and never put out there, and I ended up loving my main characters, Dane and Shana, so much that I just started writing a series after that and continuing their story, which is still going on, and I'm working on book 10 right now.
If anybody's noticing that that's awesome that you're on book 10. I want to warn people that every now and then when we're doing live video on Facebook, there'll be some freeze-ups or some weirdness. We're creating a podcast version and a video version, and today seems to be one of those days where we're going to have a little bit of a kerfluffle, and we're not going to let it bother us because we have faith in the internet. So I read Beachcomber Gone, and in this one, Dane and Shana are pretty far along in their relationship. Is this a spoiler for anybody that if we talk about the series here? Do they appear from the very beginning?
the no, I think all the characters are there. I think that the relationship, like I said, builds gradually, like you notice, and so people from the beginning might not be aware of how far it's going to go, and it's obviously not all the way there yet, but well, we can let them have some suspense
Well,
about
not
that.
in Beachcomber Gone. Yeah, they were foiled. In fact, I think your
Yeah.
teaser for Beachcomber Gone is just when Dane thought they would marry, Shana is gone. So give us a little intro to Beachcomber Gone.
Beachcomber Gone. Dane travels with Shana back to home, which is in Australia. She's from Sydney, Australia. She has a family there. Her legacy is that her father was a police officer who died in the line of duty, and she got into law enforcement from there. And so they're going back to Australia to bond with her family, and things go awry. She ends up disappearing. She trusts the wrong person, or so she thinks. She's not really sure who she can trust, but she's going to be set up for some kind of fall for a past case gone wrong, and we'll see. I won't give away any more of the book after that.
So one of the things that I enjoyed about the book is that truly she is a kick-ass woman. I'm trying to remember all the details of her history, but she's basically an Australian with a Scotland Yard pedigree, as far as law enforcement goes. Tell us more about coming up with Shana and her character.
Well, I started with Shana. Like I said, I was doing this beach romance novel, and I started with Shana. I don't know why I started with an Australian surfer, but I did. Maybe I was just like interested in surfing that day. I don't know. And that's the beautiful thing about writing. You get to really explore those things that interest you. And so surfing is really big in Australia. And so I created this woman who was, this surfer beauty, but she was really law enforcement type. She was working for the police department, and she got this job with the Scotland Yard to be an investigator there. And so she was going to London. And when she gets to London, she has to turn around and go to Martha's Vineyard, because they have a case on Martha's Vineyard that I guess the police in Massachusetts have an exchange program between them and the Scotland Yard. And actually, in real life, Scotland Yard does an exchange program with New York City. So this is really not a totally far-fetched notion, I want to say. I didn't totally make it up. But anyway, so she gets sent to Martha's Vineyard immediately after she gets to London, because there is a surfing competition. And a missing heiress who was supposed to be in the competition, and they need her to be like undercover surfer in the competition.
Oh, how
so that's
fun.
how it all starts, and that's how I ended up with an Australian law enforcement surfer
who went to Scotland Yard and then was undercover in Martha's Vineyard. Right. So now, okay, so have you ever been a surfer?
Never. You would never know. I've never been surfing, although I live near Hampton Beach in New Hampshire, and there's surfers there all the time, and my son has surfed, but I never did. And it's just like one of those things that I always thought was glamorous and looked crazy fun growing up with I don't know, like Gidget and like Beach Blanket Bingo and all these like beach movies. That's what I think of when I think of beach, is surfing. So
my husband's a surfer, and two of our daughters are surfers.
Oh, really?
It's a hard thing. I have tried, and all I do is get water up my nose and sand down the back of my bathing suit and require rescue. So it's really tough. So now Shana is a bona fide badass if she's a surfer.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to look good in a bathing suit and be tough at the same time.
Exactly.
So the Martha Vineyards Martha's Vineyard tie, though. That's not too far from your home base, is it?
No, it's a place where I've been many times. I've vacationed there. It's an island just off the coast of Cape Cod in Massachusetts. It's like about a 45-minute ferry ride. I don't know if you've been there, if many people have, but it's like presidents have been there for vacation. So it's a definite vacation spot. So I think a lot of people have heard of it because Clinton went there and Obama went there. So
I think it's certainly famous, and it's on my list of places that I'm dying to be. But would you believe I've never even been to Boston? Well, I say that. I went to Boston on book tour in 2013, and there was a freaking tornado in Boston the day of my book tour. How many times have tornadoes in Boston? Never.
That's like once in the.
And I show up in my rolling mobile home and I have a tornado.
Well, next time you're there won't be a tornado, I can guarantee. And you should look me up because I'm like, I live in southern New Hampshire, which is the suburbs of Boston. I worked in downtown Boston for many years. Love Boston. I still go there all the time. And so a lot of the books will go back and forth between Martha's Vineyard and Boston. It's my place, my comfort zone, and a place I feel confident writing about. So,
is the Beachcomber in the name of the series really mostly about Martha's Vineyard connection, or are there other beach locations too?
That's really the Beachcomber. That's where they live. That's where they work out of. They have a beach shack, and they the Beachcomber, who is Dane, the hero of the story, he has always come there for his breaks in the action in between his missions. He's kind of like a mercenary at this point in time. Has a long history of righting wrongs, going places, terrible places, special ops, all kinds of really tough, difficult things. So Martha's Vineyard is the place where he has gone in between to rest his soul. And so that's where he meets Shana, and that's where he ends up.
Well, he is quite the sexy man in the book that I wrote. He's and a sucker for Shana, which I guess is kind of the driver of this story, is that he's let himself fall completely in love despite his best intentions and belief that he wouldn't, and then she's taken away.
Yeah. It's been a long haul. He has a history, a romantic history, which with a lot of tragedy, and just a lot of tragedy in his life. And so, he lost his father at a young age. He was a war hero, and so that's what started him on that road to trying to be a war hero, or trying to be a hero, trying to save the world.
He's perpetual hero. So how did the Australia connection come up in this book? Was that or with Shana? Was that random or?
No, her family's there. That's where she's from, and her family's there. And so they're going to visit. Dane is going to be visiting his potentially future in-laws, and kind of see where she came from, because he's never been there, and that's her home. And so she's going to show him her home, her, where she came from, what made her.
Have you been able to visit Australia before?
No. Have you?
No, I really want to.
I do.
Again, we had a daughter that did swimming there. She was an exchange student, and I just really want to go. And reading your book, I want to go even more. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, I mostly stick to places I know, but in some cases you have to just kind of stretch a little and kind of do some research. And obviously the internet makes that very easy. Plus, I do know some people who have been, and it is pretty famous for surfing. So
for sure, it's very famous for surfing. Now, when I think of, as I said, Shana and her bona fide badassedness, with the surfer and all. I also have to turn to you and say, you've kind of got your bona fide badassedness. Where's this whole Harvard master's thing coming from? You're like a brainy badass.
Oh no, I'm ambitious, but not brainy. It was hard work and perseverance, believe me. It did take me a while to earn my master's degree, but I did. And it was
You.
like a wonderful experience. That's an advantage of living in the Boston area, is I can go to Cambridge and go to Harvard. And that was like one of my favorite things in the world, was being in Harvard Square and soaking up just the atmosphere.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a wonderful place. We visited, they have a lot of libraries at Harvard, and they have a lot of collections of famous literary works. And we were able to see some of the special collections, have private viewings and those kinds of things. Like, you can't, I mean, it's just like, it was a fabulous experience.
Goosebumps. That's like all the dreams.
I know, right?
So
come and visit me. I'll take you.
and no tornadoes. So what did you study in your master's program?
It was literature and creative writing master's program.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And I was, Facebook and internet stalking you a little bit. And so you also now teach college courses from time to time in fiction and writing. Is that correct? Did I get that right? Or am I screwing it up?
I do teach writing the novel 101, but it's more like a community college adult ed kind of situation. And it's really for my own fun, so I can talk about writing. And it's a 2 hours a week kind of class. And I just start talking, and I don't, I let other people talk. I do a lot of back and forth, but it's like I have so much to say after all these years writing, I'm telling you. So it's just it's like an outlet for me to just.
It is
what I know.
It's fun. I love it too. Have you, is it like a workshop-y thing where they are actually writing? So that's fun too. Do people ever surprise you with their hidden talents?
Oh, please. I have this woman who she'll be astronomically successful when she will move on. She did finally finish her novel. I had her like 2 semesters ago, and she's just so wonderfully talented. But I have people with great ideas, people who are, just starting out. I have the whole gamut. And it really, like it's like the most fun, because people are eager and they want to know. And I have something to say.
It's cool to me too. Working with writers from all different backgrounds, when somebody will have absolutely no reason to be a storyteller, and yet they are just a natural born, flows out of them storyteller. It's exciting.
Yeah, I have on my father's side of the family, there's a lot of readers and writers in that whole side of the family. My grandmother, you'd walk into her house, and there would be books all lining, in the older homes, they had these little shelves around the top of the walls, and she'd have everything all lined with books, like everywhere. And my aunt used to write, and my uncle wrote a book. So it's like kind of like in that side of the family.
Yeah, you couldn't have gotten away from it. It was in your genes. Yeah. Now, did I read correctly that one of your jobs was as a Keebler elf? Is this a true?
It's true. Like right out of college, I did some of that.
I mean, that's got to be the weirdest job you've ever had.
Listen, I had free cookies. I went to supermarkets.
Oh my gosh, like with the pointy toes shoes with the bells and everything. I mean, that's so fun. What is, with respect to your books and your writing, I know we're not supposed to have favorites out of our children, but do you have a favorite character or a favorite book that you've written, favorite scene, anything like that?
My favorite character, without giving it like even a millisecond of thought, would be Dane Blaze, my hero in the Beachcomber investigation series, because I am in love with him. Recently was thinking I should give him some flaws, more flaws than he has, or give him some more quirks or something. I don't know. I'll have to at one point I did have him playing the guitar. I don't know. I have to resurrect that, but I just to give him more complexity as time goes on, and like as I get to know him, and any readers might if they read the whole series. But I just adore him.
Well, he was totally sexy, I've got to say. And, and I felt like he was still nuanced enough that he was real. He was a great guy, but he was still a guy, and kudos to you for being able to see past your blind adoration and make him you
know.
know, have depth for all of us.
The way you do that is you look through Shana's eyes, who sees, you know,
Yeah.
the less than heroic side.
Yeah, she sees that he doesn't chew his toothpaste from the right end, you know, all those little things. So when you finish a draft, who are your first readers? Do you have a critique group? Do you work with an editor or family and friends?
Well, I have an editor who I've been working with for quite a while now. And so she's familiar with my writing, my style, all of the books, and has that continuity going. So I'm really lucky at this point in time to have that. I have not done the critique group thing. I have done, like, having gone through, you know, college courses in creative writing, done a lot of workshopping of a lot of manuscripts, and so I'm really familiar and have learned that whole process of critique and revision. And so I'm pretty comfortable with not doing that part and just sending it to my editor. She does help a lot.
That continuity of editing is absolutely critical. As a series writer myself, it's like,
right. Exactly.
Holy cow. I mean, it's not just your characters. For readers out there that are thinking, yeah, I have trouble remembering whose eyes are blue and who's got blonde hair or brown or whatever. It's your style. Like in the third book, we did italics in our texts, and you have them as caps this time. And that, you know, that can't be. And oh my gosh, it's mind blowing. So now, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, to the style point, so as they got more into their relationship, I mean, I have like sexy scenes in there. And so my editor was able to say, okay, this is getting to be, the tone is changing. It's like, it's more intense now. And, you know, and do you want to go to that next level of steaminess? And, you know, this is the continuity. And I'm like, I decided to do that because of the continuity of the relationship, called for it, and it was okay. And it worked out naturally. But she was able to see that change, you know, a change in just, you know, any nuance of the story or characters. So that's helpful.
Yeah, it is helpful because you're writing, when you move to that kind of content, even like sentence length and structure and word choice sometimes changes as well, and needs to be intentional instead of accidental at times.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Well, when I'm looking down at our time, and I've got to tell people out there that I could talk to Stephanie all day. Well, like I said, we've known each other for a year without knowing each other. So this is kind of like, yay, exciting. And we do have to wrap it up at some point. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to tell you that you can get a lot more information about Stephanie and her books by going out to her website, which is stephaniequeen.com. And out there, you will find giveaways. You will find events that she's appearing at. And tell us one more time about the special you have going right now, because I think that's really interesting to people.
It's the introductory box set to my Beachcomber investigation series, which includes the prequel, the first 4 novels, and 2 bonus novellas. And it's on sale for $2.99 until April 15th.
You can't do better than that. In fact, don't do better than that, Stephanie. You're giving them away. Don't give them away. And what I would like to invite all of you to do is go out to our website, check it out, and pick up a copy of that limited time special. While you're out on the internet, grab my LiveWire. And next week, we're having Patricia Flaherty Pagan, who's also from the Boston area, but now lives in Texas. She is the editor-in-chief of Spider Road Press, which is a small press that specializes in stories with authentic, complex females or female identifying characters. She's going to be on next week, and the most recent release that she's edited and been a main contributor to, and the one I recommend you read, is called Approaching Footsteps. So if we think of this as Pamela's personal book club, read along with me with Approaching Footsteps next week, and catch up with me by picking up a copy of the introductory box set to the Beachcomber Investigation series by Stephanie Queen. This has been, I have to say this, a solely owned and copyrighted production of Authors on the Air Global Radio Network, and it's Wine, Women, and Writing with Pamela Fagan Hutchins. And I have had a blast today, Stephanie. Thank you so much for
Me
being
too.
on.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And all the rest of you out there, you have a great week and go read something wonderful. All right? Take care.